Shout out to everybody for tuning in, man. This is episode number 77 of the Spot Network. This is Manifest Mondays. Even on a Tuesday, we still manifesting. It don't matter. We here every week, ain't missed a week. This is week 77. Next week's gonna be week 78. We're gonna be back to regular schedule programming. But today, what we talking about is backup plans, man. But before we get into it, I got my man DG here.
I'm back, baby. I'm back like I never
Back, back,
left.
back, back and better, man. He was out of commission last week, man. Glad to have him back in the booth, man. Shout out to my guy Ramond.
Locked and loaded, baby. Come on.
That's it, man. And I'm DJ Zenas, man. So we gonna get straight into this thing, man. We talk about backup plans. So we've all heard it, right? If you have a plan B, you're already setting yourself up to fail, right? Is that true or is it not true? Like what we talking about, man?
What's the other quote? There was another one too that you read yesterday about
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
what's
yeah,
what's the
yeah.
other
So I got
one?
a couple. I'm gonna quote y'all out today, man. So there's a couple quotes I got for y'all. So if Plan A doesn't work, the alphabet has 25 more letters.
Bro, that's my
So
favorite though. That's hilarious.
or if you're not in on Plan A, maybe you're not ready.
Damn.
So where y'all at with it, man? Like how y'all feel about backup plans?
Bro, it's loaded, bro. That it's pretty. Those questions are loaded. I would say, man, like backup place is important, right?
Hmm.
Whatever it is you're trying to do. For me, I should look at it like a safety net, and it's also like just having an attorney because life is full of uncertainty. Things happen, so having a backup plan doesn't necessarily mean that you're not focusing on plan A. It just means that you just plan shit. When shit doesn't go as according to your plan, you can fall back on and then regroup and get back onto your main purpose. That's how I look at backup plan, right? Other people look at it as, oh, if plan A doesn't work, that means like you're just gonna go on plan B and then you're gonna neglect plan A for sure. But I don't look at it that way. I just think it's just a way to like navigate, regroup, and then get back on track. Because like so much uncertainty. Like it's like for me, like car insurance, right? Like we don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. I pay my insurance every day. Hopefully, God forbid, something happens so my car can be covered. And to me, that's kind of like a backup plan, just making sure that things that you cannot see are taken care of when you are pursuing your goals.
Hmm.
That's kind of like my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, I kind of feel you. I feel you like that. For the most part, a lot of times, a lot of people just don't think about the what ifs if
Right,
something doesn't go the way you thought it would, right? Like a lot of people don't think about that, right? So, for the most part, a plan B would be kind of just thinking about that. Like if
right,
this shit don't pan out the way that I want to, how am I gonna be able to make a move after that? Or what else can I do? You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And a lot of people don't really ever think about that until they have to, right? Um, but just to play the other side of that, you know what I mean? For a lot of people, like you feel like if you have a backup plan, right, that means you're putting energy into something else besides your plan A.
right,
Hmm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? If you got a plan, if you have a plan B that you like, okay, if I'm doing this in case this doesn't work, then you're actually doing both.
right,
You know what I mean? Your plan B is playing
Hmm.
both. So the truth is that you're putting energy and splitting energy between those two, right?
right,
So it's pros and cons to it for sure. Like,
right.
but I do think that if you have a plan B that at all would work at all, like if your plan B is like good enough to work, then you put energy into it,
Right.
right? And if you put energy into that plan B, then you taking energy out of that plan A,
Mm,
man. So like just like you said, it's a loaded question, but
right,
it's
right,
pros and cons to both sides, you
right.
know.
Yeah, yeah,
I can see that too, though. I can see that. I see an
yeah.
argument for that. But yeah, go ahead, Z.
I definitely understand both sides, man. I think it's interesting in talking about success and greatness and all that entails and going all in, right? I think we always talk about it, right? The concept of going all in. Um, I think when you have a plan A and ultimately, I think it really all just boils down to purpose, right? I
Right,
think for the three of us, I think we all have purpose in our lives. I think a lot of people have purpose in their lives. There are some people who are still searching for it, and that's totally fine too, right? But whatever it is that like wakes you up in the morning, that like just really gets you going, that compels you to just continue to show up day in and day out, man, it requires a lot of effort and energy to invest all of yourself into that, right? You
Right.
know, and that's what your plan A is. And to Ramon's point, I do think that if you have a plan B, you're already putting that thought into the world that like this might not work out, right? You know, like and if it does, and for that's for better or for worse, right? You know, I think it's
Right.
always subjective. Like that's going to mean something different to
Right.
everybody, and so think think in order to accomplish something great, you have to go all in.
Right.
But all in can be it can be extremely polarizing, I
Right.
think,
Right.
honestly. Like that's the thing about going all in. Like
Right.
you can go all in and it could go extremely well. It could go extremely poorly, right? You know, like, go it's almost like it's all in, right? Like we go to the moon or we go to the grave, one of the two. Like there's really like
That's
no there's no in
extreme.
between. Like there's no in between. That's what going all in entails, right?
That's
So
where you lose a lot, bro. That mindset,
you
YOLO.
can lose a lot. You can win a lot too, though. You can win a lot, but to that point though, we know that the odds are stacked against us though. So like more
Facts.
than likely, it's not going to work out just because
Right.
we've seen it.
Right.
Probably 99% of people who set out to accomplish something don't, right? For
Right.
whatever reason,
Right.
there's a multitude of different reasons, right? So I do understand the idea and concept of having a plan B, right? Because
Right.
a plan B is just like, well, if plan A doesn't work out, I do have something to fall back on. I have a little bit of a cushion, whatever the case may be. Um, where do I fall typically on the spectrum? I think I always lean a little bit more towards plan A,
Right.
man. Like I think I'm not gonna say I don't have plan Bs, like I don't have backup plans. I think having my hand in multiple different baskets and whatnot, is kind of just how I always just approach things.
Right.
Um, but I think in order to accomplish something great, you have to go all in on your plan A.
Right. But I agree, but this is where I a little bit disagree, right? Because I believe that you can still go all in and still have like a backup plan in a sense. It's not because to me when I look at backup plan, it's like I think we have a disagreement, right? Backup plan doesn't mean like I'm working on these things every day. Backup plan is like, for example, let me give you an example, right? Let's say if the person's goal is to be uh, uh, like a financial analyst, whatever. That
Hmm.
person is studying for that, exam and doing everything. This is, I want to do this. But our backup plans could be like, okay, I have these other skill sets, right? If the worst happen, I can do these things. Like I'm not spending my time working on the other things because I already possess those skill sets, right? It's like I'm still pursuing that financial analyst goal. I'm doing everything daily to reach that goal. But in the back of my mind, it's like, God forbid, if the worst happen, I have all the other skill sets. I can do these things. But sometimes we don't realize our backup plan because the plan A works, right? It's like I'm in pursuit of that, and then boom, plan A works. So I don't ever have to go back on that other plan, because plan A just works so easily. So when I think about it that way, even though like I thought about other things, but I never put in that time and effort into those things. But it was just more of my thoughts because I have these skill set things that I can do, and this doesn't work out. You know.
Well, but I gotta cut in here. You skipping the part too, though. You skipping the big piece, right? You saying these other skill sets that you have. How'd you get
Right.
the other skill sets?
Like
You had to put energy into them,
correct.
unless you was just born with the know-how to do certain things, which most people aren't.
But
Hmm.
mo-
So to get those other skill sets, then you
right.
had to put energy into those plan Bs. You had to put energy
Correct.
into it. So like even if you said you didn't put a lot, you still put some, right? So even if it was 70-30, if like I said, if plan B is good enough to actually work, if plan A doesn't, then you had to at least put 30-40% into it. Like,
Yeah.
because if you was putting 10% to your backup, then it really is not really that good of a backup, right? You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Right.
So if it was a plan B that was good enough to work, then you had to be putting energy into it. And that's where I think I differ
Right.
on that
Right.
Yeah.
piece. Is like there ain't no like skill sets that you just have. You had to get those skill sets through like
Right.
putting energy into them.
Right.
So like if you can't go all in and have two. I don't think so. I think if you have 100% to give,
Right.
if you give 30 to 40% to that one, then you only got 60 to give to yours. 60 or
Hmm.
70 to that plan A. So I just don't think those two things align. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Personally.
But
Yeah.
what? No, but like, all right. What about like artists? People like, for example, right? Common example, John Legend, right? He went to school, graduated, got his college degree, and he was working as a business consultant before he became a singer. So to me, it's like just going to school. Technically, he was still pursuing his dream. That was a backup plan, but he still made it as a singer and reached his goal as being a famous singer and achieved his goal as being one of the good R&B artists, right? So
Hmm.
it just shows that both situation can work. It all depends on how you do it, you know. So it's just like it's hard because it's hard to do. But at the end of the day, I feel like if you are passionate about something else, if you're working on that goal, it's like because I feel like for most people, you're gonna have once you like someone who like have that progressive mindset, there are gonna be a lot of things that you're good at, and you just realize you know maybe I'm better at this more than that. So I'm just gonna use my time and effort and just focus on this because I'm really good at this. You know, it's like maybe music and art, right? Like drawing. You're like, you know what? I can draw too, like something I've been doing as a kid, but I'm just so much better at music. And then you just try music and then it just blows up, right? So you never have to go back as actually becoming an artist, right? So I don't know. That's how I look at it. But I see
I,
your
I,
point though. I see
I
your
think.
point too.
I think I disagree in the sense that the John Legend example, right? So John Legend, he went to school,
Right.
graduated, got his degree, and
Hmm.
whatnot, then decided to pursue his music career. The thing about school is I think school is a huge piece of development, though, especially as like just human beings,
Right.
right? I think like you go to school to learn shit, right? Like
Right.
we go to school to learn different skills, different trades and whatnot,
Right.
and you figure out what you like and what you dislike,
Correct.
right? And from there, you kind of paint a bigger picture. In high school, you like start to get a frame of what that looks like, and then in college, I think that's where you really start to develop like what that next chapter looks like for you in life,
Right.
right? Think there's plenty of successful people who hold degrees and whatnot. I don't think it was necessarily like, yeah, I mean, I do
I mean, he
think
was working a nine
going,
to five, so it
but,
wasn't like he was out there.
but the only reason why he made it in music is because he went all in though. Like
But
he
no,
he
that's
he.
not all in though, right? Because how can you be working and pursuing music at the same time? You're doing like Ramond point. You're doing both things together. You go into your job and after work you're working on music. How are you like going all in? That's technically like giving time for something else too, though.
Do you think was John Legend working a 9 to 5 up until he made it? He got his deal.
I don't know. Just there are other people. Like I don't know. There are like there's many examples of other people too who do the same thing. Like the CEO of Under Armour, right? He was in business school full time while working on his brand.
Hmm.
And to this, Under Armour is one of the biggest brands. You know, he didn't just quit and like stop and just I'm gonna go all in on Under Armour. He was still like in school, like working and studying while working on his brand. You know, that's what I'm trying to say. It's harder, but I feel you
So,
can juggle both.
so do
I
you
my
think do you think he accomplished what he did with Under Armour by giving 60% effort?
No, this is why I say, right? Once you figure out like your plan A, because that's what I'm saying, right? You can have two things that you're juggling on, right? But now you realize one of them is like getting more steam, one of them is like pop is getting more momentum. Then you realize, you know, oh, right, maybe this should be my purpose then because I'm doing these two things, but like I'm better at this thing than the other one. So now I should shift my focus and go all in on this one. I'm just talking about like the beginning phase. So you have to like once you figure those two things you're good at, in order to go to that next level, now you have to focus on one of those two things to put all your time and effort into it. You can't just be doing both no more. You have to decide, and that decision can be made based on like other thing feedback you're getting, like people like, bro, you're killing it out being a DJ. You're killing this fitness stuff, right? You're like,
Mhm.
you know what? Like people are giving me more compliment when it comes to fitness than like my investment. So let me focus more on this now than the other one. And then once you do that, that can like blows up. But before that, you were still juggling, you were still figuring it out because he wasn't at that level yet. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, yeah, I think to the point of what I just said, I think the huge part of that is development. I think
Correct.
at the end of the day, you have to try different things to
Right.
know what it is that you're truly passionate about.
Right.
But at some point, you have to choose.
Correct.
And in order to accomplish something great, you have to go all in, is what I'm saying. Like after you make that conscious decision to go
Right.
all in, like this is it,
Right.
like I don't think there's a plan B after that. Like it's just like this is what I'm putting all my effort and energy into in order to accomplish something great. I don't think John Legend decided to pursue music and was just like, you know what? If it doesn't work out though, I'll be a business analyst.
I mean,
You know, right? Like,
he was doing, he was working, so we never know. I mean,
you know, I
But my argument with John Legend, since we're hitting on it, is that he wasn't going all in. It
mhm.
right,
worked out. And that's why I just want to throw in the argument.
right,
Like shit can still work out
right,
if you don't go all
Yeah.
in.
right,
But my argument was that he wasn't going all in if he was bouncing,
right.
right? He
Mhm.
was just giving it. He was giving it enough, and then when it cracked, maybe he
Hmm.
did. You know, like you were
Right,
saying. But my
right,
argument is during that time he wasn't
right.
going all in.
Okay, that's fair. I feel
Yeah.
like that's a fair argument.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair argument to say at that time. Because if you're
Yeah,
doing both, then you're not really
you
going
can't.
all in. Right. So that's a good question. Do you really need to go all in to become successful at in whatever you do decide to pursue? Then, what do
No.
you guys think, though?
No, I don't. I think you can be I think you can be great and you can be super successful with having a backup plan
Right.
too. I think it's not the worst thing to tell somebody too. It's
Right.
like, I wouldn't push it on somebody who's like super hyper focused about something, but it's not the worst thing ever to think about other things than just the main thing. I don't think that's the worst thing ever, right? I think um having a safety net is not the worst thing to have. It's like I think
Right.
if you do have backup plans, sometimes like um you'll see higher lows and what like we talk about stocks all the time. It's
Right.
like when you do fall, you might not fall to the grave like Z was talking about. Like you might fall to the hammock and bounce back off fall to the trampoline and the light bounce back into action. Like okay, I'm doing this now. You know what I'm saying? But I just think that it's tough to give people one or the other on which way to go for real because for some people that is doubt a lot like let me ask y'all why do you think people have backup plans?
I mean,
Like what do you think the reasoning is for people to have a backup plan?
Yeah.
I'm, I mean, not always fear though, because sometimes other reason too though, right? Because like it's not always fear. I agree with you though, Z. Fear is one of them for certain people, but also other people. Sometimes you just gotta like analyze things, right? I feel like analysis is like it's like you going like you're an army sergeant, right? You go into war. Yeah, you might plan everything, but what if those scenarios that you look at too doesn't work out? It's not always about fear. It's just about ways to like give yourself an advantage too because sometimes you might look at things from all these other perspectives, but you might be missing out on other things too. And I feel like a backup plan sometimes just create those avenues to like look at things from a different perspective, be able to like regroup and get back onto your goals. Because like in the sense that I can see that as being fearful if you like, oh, if this doesn't work out, I'm just gonna quit and go back. But if that's not your mindset, you know what, I'm gonna do this. But if it doesn't work out, I can do this and get back to where I was at earlier. To me, that's not fear though. That's just like preparation. But I can see that fear could be some of the reason too. But like, it's just so many other factors that's involved as well too. Because like life has so many uncertainty, bro. Like you can never like predict things that are out of our control, right? You can be the best businessman, you can do everything right, and sometimes you could fail, and that have nothing to do with you, right? Just something out of your control. So I feel like backup plans sometimes help to alleviate that and give you other options to like still get to the same goal, just from a different route. That's how I look at it sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, to your point, I think you mentioned it, uncertainty and failure, right? That's the reason why fear is the biggest motivator in life, right? I think more people move out of fear than out of confidence.
Right,
I think more
right,
people move out of fear than out of
right,
faith and ultimate belief, right? I think fear drives and compels people way more than anything else in life.
Mm-hmm.
The
right,
fear of uncertainty, the fear of failing, the fear
right,
of falling flat on your face, like it's all scary, right?
right,
Like I think to your point, those are all variables, right? People like control. People don't like what they can't control. That's a variable, right? People don't like variables. Um, but I think in order to accomplish something great, you have to put that fear aside and you ultimately just have to believe. There has to be some at some point where you just like, nah, it's gonna work out, and you got to tap into that. It's not always the easiest thing to do, but that's why I think fear is always going to be the most compelling motivator in life. You know, um, I think honestly, fear drives me in a way, in a much different way.
Right.
I fear mediocrity. I fear complacency. That's my biggest fear, and that's the reason why I move the way that I do, right? Because I know that like whatever is on the other side scares the shit out of me, and I don't want nothing to do with that, right? Um, so yeah, I think it's fear more than anything else, personally.
Right.
Shout out to Claude, to God. He said, "You have to go all in to become successful, but going all in doesn't always
Oh,
guarantee success." That's a
absolutely,
bar,
Right.
man. That's a
absolutely,
bar.
Right.
It
absolutely,
doesn't. It
absolutely.
doesn't. It doesn't, man. Because there's something I want to touch on, right? Because we're gonna circle back around to this, but we talk about, can you still be successful and have a backup plan? But we talked about this a little off. Let's go there now,
Right.
man. Can you be the greatest of all time and have a backup plan?
Hell no,
Can you be the GOAT at something and have a backup plan?
no.
Also, like to even answer that question, I would say being a GOAT is like sometimes it's like you can even have all the plan and still not become the GOAT, right? So it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have to do with backup plan or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like being a GOAT is one of those situations like just like I would say like a lot of things have to like play a lot of things has to be perfect in order for that to happen. Because if we look at the percentage of people who are GOAT, they're less than 0.0000001%.
Facts.
So it just shows it's
Facts.
like an
Hmm.
anomaly, right? So for me it's not a blueprint for that to happen, right? There are a lot of things that are out of our control in order to make that happen, right?
Hmm.
Because there are people like I can look at athletes. How many athletes like they went all in on their goal? D Wade, Carmelo Anthony, but they are never considered a GOAT. That's all they focus on with basketball.
Hmm.
AI, Charles Barkley, right? So I feel like being a GOAT is one of those things, man. I feel like sometimes I'll say you are ordained or destined to become that person, to be honest. And it has nothing to do with like backup plan or if you went all in or not. Because a lot of things have to play to make that because it's so rare for that to happen, bro. So I don't know. That's kind of like my take on that.
So you think it's more destiny and fate than going all in?
No, all that has to play together. All in, fit, destiny, just everything has to just be the perfect combination because it's so
Yeah.
rare. Because like all these, look at bro, like Carmelo Anthony, like he's a great basketball player. KD, but they're never considered a GOAT, right? And
Hmm.
they went all in on basketball,
Hmm.
So like, so I don't know. There's not like a formula for that to achieve that status, bro. I don't know. That's kind of like my take
Hmm.
on that. It's one of
That's
those
what
things
that's
that
kind
I
of
really don't
what
know.
Claude was saying. That's kind of what
Yeah.
Claude was saying too. Is like you can go all in, you don't, or you have to go all in to become successful, but you don't. That doesn't always guarantee success.
Hmm.
What do you
Right.
feel about that, Z?
Um,
And you be the GOAT at something with that while having a backup plan.
no. Hell no. Hell no. At that. To be the GOAT, man, you think about the GOAT of anything. I think the GOAT of basketball. It's always going to be subjective.
Right.
One of the two, it's either going to be Michael Jordan or LeBron.
Right.
Like I think it comes down to one of those two. There's maybe other people you could throw in the mix, like like a Kobe Bryant, like whoever, right? At the end of the day, but in order to accomplish something at that level, if you think about the greatest football player, Tom Brady, right? It requires so much sacrifice, so much effort, so much disciplines. It just requires so much focus. Like we talk about hyper focus in order
Right.
to accomplish that. Tom Brady sacrificed his family for football, fam. Like
It's
you
crazy.
choose football or family, he chose football.
And
Right.
this is
Like he was
this is
like,
after this is after 7 rings.
this is
Right.
this
Like
is
we know
yes.
what he was doing at the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Like,
But
So I mean that
that's
just
not the
goes
key though, because there are people who sacrifice their family and all that too, and not never got to that level.
absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
so that's not the reason too, though. You know what I'm saying? That we can't use
That
that as
that
a
is the reason
reason.
though. That is like to me, like we talk about it all the time. The only thing that separates insanity from genius is success. That is the single determining factor that separates the two. If Michael Jordan never became Michael Jordan, if Tom Brady never became Tom Brady, like they would just be labeled as just some crazy ass motherfuckers. Like they were just like, man, like anyone who, like I said, it takes some kind of delusion in order to accomplish something of that magnitude. In order to become the goat of something, you have to be delirious. Like I believe it so much in my
Right.
mind that I don't care what anybody else says. I don't care what I lose along the way.
Right.
It's going to happen,
But there are
right?
people who do that too, though. That's what I'm saying. There are
And there's
people
plenty
who
of people who
are.
fail. Yes, I understand. There's plenty of people. But the thing is just like these people, like the 1% or like the 0.001% that make it, if they never believed that they would be there, like how would they have gotten there in the first place? If they never went all in, how would
Right.
they have gotten there? They never would have done that if they
Right.
didn't believe. And
Right.
so it takes that insane. Some people have that insane belief that they just never got their opportunity,
Right.
and that's okay.
Right.
Like I mean,
But
but it's
let me
like, what do you appreciate more? Do you appreciate the fact that I went all in and it didn't work out, and at least I tried, or the person who just like never tried at anything, like and was just like and just honestly just coasted through life, just living a very average life? It all if the shoe fits, right?
Right.
It all really applies to what it is that you want in life, whatever makes you happy, whatever your purpose is. But you never can accomplish something at the GOAT status of that magnitude without going on it. You can't.
Go ahead,
that's
Ramon.
kind of my point on it too. Is like there's of course there's millions of people that went all in and didn't get
Right.
there. Millions,
Yeah.
millions, right?
Right.
But I would say that the people that did get there all went all in. So that
Hmm.
Right.
I would say that would be the commonality of everybody who did, is that they did go all in. You know what I mean? They gave it everything. Like there wasn't no other time for nothing else. Like this is what we doing. You know what I'm saying? How are you talking about anything else that's going on in the world? We got the Nuggets tomorrow.
Right.
I
Hmm.
I'm watching film, but I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Like you see what I'm saying? Like how you know what I mean? Like I don't think there was no other thought besides like this is what we doing. This
Hmm.
is just
Right.
it. You know what I
But
mean? For anybody who became that level. So
right.
the truth is I think Champ kind of hit it on it here. What up, Champ?
Shout out
He said
to Champ, man.
is success subjective? How is it measured? You might not be the GOAT, but you can be
That's
successful.
Right.
And I think like
cool.
all those people that you named, Carmelo Anthony,
Right.
uh,
Dwayne
you know what I'm
Wade.
saying, AI, all them people
Yeah.
that you named are very successful. Like
Very
Right.
successful
successful.
than way more successful than the average human.
Right.
And they did, and I'm not to say, you know what I'm saying, but I think, and they might have went all in,
Right.
right? So they probably got closer than still the average,
Correct.
even if they, you know what I mean? But those goats, I think the commonality between them was there was no other. If this thing don't work, if this thing don't work, we'll figure out that when that time comes.
Right. That
Yeah.
Like if I
I
tear my ACL,
right.
then I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna do. And they tell me I can never play again. Even
Yeah.
then, I might be out there on the court, and we're gonna figure out if I can play on this bitch or not. You
Correct.
know what I'm saying?
No,
But
I
I think
agree.
yeah,
I
that's
agree, but
that's my point on that.
my thing is that's what I'm saying. I do agree. You have to go all in, but what I'm trying to say is that since that cannot be replicated, right? It's not a blueprint for that. That's why I believe there has to be some type of luck and other things that are
Of
associated with
course.
that. Being the right system. So it has nothing to do with like you went all
I
in
wouldn't
per
say
se.
nothing to do.
No,
No. Yeah.
okay, okay,
I would say if all of
right,
them went all in, then that
well,
is
okay,
one factor. There's
correct,
other factors, but
correct,
that's a commonality between all of them.
right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my thing, I agree. Okay, so let me rephrase that. All in is plays a part of that, right? But you can just attribute and say that's the reason why they're to go because they go all in because there are so many other athletes who went even
Hmm.
harder, did all that too, and so many more and
Hmm.
never get to that. So
Yeah.
going all in can be the only contributing factor to
Not
say
the only.
that.
No, it's
That
not.
right,
It's
it
not.
helps, right? It helps, but there are other things. That's what I believe. Like at that level, man, like luck, ordained, like so many other things that plays a role to be at that level. It just how it doesn't only have to be with going all in. But I do agree, you have to go all in order to see what you're capable
Yeah.
of. Because if you've never done that, you will never know. But it's just hard to say that, oh, because this person went all in, that's a contributing factor of that.
But I will say, I think it is the biggest factor, though. Of all the factors that exist, I think going all in is absolutely. If you look at it at a diagram, right? If you look at like a cake diagram, like if you look at the pie chart, right? Going all in is more than 50% of everything else. There might be a little bit of luck, right? Because the thing about it is, when you go all in on your purpose, whatever that is that compels you in life, the odds start to become a lot more in your favor, right? Because
Right,
now you start to gain access to more rooms, more opportunities, because you're putting yourself out there on the line each and every day.
right.
So the odds start to work more in your favor than the average
I agree.
person, right? So I think all in. although it's not the single like contributing factor in all of it, I do think it is the most important.
I wouldn't say
No one
the
got
most though. I wouldn't say the most because
What's
everybody
more
was.
important? What's more
what's more
important than
important then?
that?
What is more
No,
important?
no, because this is the thing, right? Because if we have like over 1,000 people all going all in, we're talking about great athlete, bro, all going all in, and then only like less than 0% succeed or become that gold status. Then you can like if you're looking at data, like all in now wouldn't be the main reason why though, because it's like
What's
we
the
all
what? What's
going.
the main
So
reason
what's
then?
the main reason then?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It's like the unknown, right? That's what I'm saying. So many, like so many randomness. Like I don't know, like to attribute the main reason though, because like for example, right, like Tom Brady, like also like let's look at sports in specifically, right? There's so many championships that Tom Brady won, like against the Patriot, not the Patriot, the Seahawks, right? When the Seahawks should have won that Super Bowl and they threw that interception and the defense intercepted that for the Patriots. And Tom Brady got a ring for that. So those are some of the randomness that happened. It has nothing to do with him going all in that season to win the
It
championship. That's what I'm
does
saying.
though, because the
That
reason that
absolutely
they're in that
does.
position, the defense had to make a
Right,
play,
but
but
that's
the
what I'm saying.
reason
Like,
they're there
but no,
still
but
is
they could be the. But that has to be like what I'm saying, luck and other things. That's the random. That's why it's hard to like determine that because he went all in though. Because
but think
there
think
are
about it.
other
Think
are you
teams.
saying that luck is the biggest factor?
No, that's
Is
what
that
I'm
what you're
saying.
saying?
I'll say it's the unknown. I don't know, to be honest. I wouldn't say any biggest factor because it's hard, right? Because if you have all these people doing the same thing, everybody's going all in, going
Bro,
putting the same
bro,
amount of work. I don't know, to be honest. Like I wouldn't
bro.
say
Okay, so like let me put this into perspective, right? From my perspective, I should say. Anyone who made it to the league in the NFL, NBA, whatever it is, they went all in.
correct,
Like no one made it to that level without going all in.
correct.
The thing about
We're
it
talking
though
about ghost
is
status though, not just
no, but
making it.
the thing about it is everybody's all in looks different. You can go all in and still be third string. You could go all in and be Tom Brady, bro. There's still a huge separation between good and great. Like that's the thing though. But they no none of them got to that level without going all in, bro.
I
Like
agree.
nobody got into the league in any
I agree.
sport not
I
going all in.
I was just talking about like the goat,
That's why
the
I'm
goat,
saying
the
that's
point
why I'm
zero point
saying
zero percent.
that's why I'm saying the most important piece out of all of this is going all in because at the end of the day, you can go all in and still not be the GOAT, but like you can damn sure like put in 50% and you're not even gonna get close, right?
But then
So
all
so
in doesn't get lead you to the goat then, right? It's because that argument was valid. Then if anyone like all these athletes, they would have been considered the goat because those are people like
not
dedicate their entire life. So
the
all in doesn't
biggest.
guarantee you being a
we
goat
never said
though.
Doesn't
that it
no, it will never guarantee.
guarantees,
It's
bro.
just the biggest
No one's
piece. It's
saying
the biggest
that it
piece because
guarantees it.
there's no other piece that would be bigger than that.
But we
Like all the
we don't know
maybe
though. We don't know.
I,
That's what I'm
I
saying. That's why I say I
I
don't
know for
know.
sure that look, you can't look your way into being the GOAT.
I
That's
never
what I
said
do
luck
know.
though. I never said luck.
You
That's
know
why I
what
say I don't since I can't measure it. That's why I'm saying I don't know. Because
You can't finesse your way
I,
into GOAT status,
I
bro. You
agree though.
can't do that.
I agree.
you,
I do agree
yeah.
with that. But like that's what I'm saying. Like it's hard to like measure things that like pretty much out of our control. Right. For example, LeBron being healthy. That's one of the reasons I help, and that has nothing to do with like go or whatever. Just the fact that the probability that he's still healthy throughout his entire career. Like you
Mhm.
can't measure. That's how nothing would be. So all these things that I'm talking about, it's just so hard to like measure what was the reason why he reached that level because
But do
it's
you
so
know
many
how much he
unknowns.
invests into his health too,
But
though?
there are people who do that though, and they still never got injured. Like other things, like I'm just saying, like
Yeah,
there has
He
to be so
played
many
absolutely.
luck. Everything just have to work out so perfectly, bro, in order for you to reach that level. That's why I'm saying, like you have to be like a little bit ordained or destined, if I'm being honest, to reach that goat level, in my
And
opinion.
I do
And
agree.
doing all the work, like all in, like we talking about all, and you have to go all in. So I don't know. It's hard to just attribute the reason why. Yeah, like you said, since we can't measure it, like since we can't measure that, yeah, it makes sense. That's a valid argument to say. Yeah, I mean, since we can't really measure it, then yeah, we're just gonna attribute that to going all in, right? That's the reason why. But then that argument too, even though I do agree, then if you look at other people who went all in and never got to that level, they make that argument
All,
hard to say that's.
all I'm saying is give me an example of somebody who didn't go all in and made it to great status. That's all. if that's what your argument
No,
is, then
that's but
I need you to provide
that's not my
somebody who
argument
wasn't.
though. But I think the kind of argument would be like I have all like over 3,000 people who went all in and never reached the gold status. So that shows too that all in. Then your argument that shows all in doesn't guarantee that either.
We
No,
never
we didn't
said
say
it
it
guaranteed it
guaranteed.
though. We
I
said
said
Or
that
the
or
most
lead
the
to that.
important
commonality,
piece.
the commonality between everybody who reached that status is they went all in.
They
It doesn't
went
mean
all
you're for
in,
sure.
bro.
Everybody can go all in, and like you said, only one person's probably gonna get that spot. But everybody that got that spot went all
I
in. Is what I'm
agree.
saying.
I
So like,
agree with that. That's what I'm saying. I do agree with that statement. That statement is valid. I agree. In order for you to even be considered, you have to, you have to go all in. But that, I do agree. That statement is valid. I do agree with y'all on that. My thing, it's just hard to
But
say.
we never said that going all in guarantees
Okay,
anything. We
okay,
never said that.
right.
We never said we said that that's the one that's the single largest piece of like it all though. Like I'm not saying that it guarantees it. It does require a perfect storm in order to
Yeah,
become the
I
GOAT.
mean,
There's a lot of things that go into it, right? But there's not a single person who accomplished anything at that magnitude without going all in. Like there is no one who did that. I don't care if you were Elon Musk, if you were Warren Buffett, if you were fucking Tyler Perry, like it doesn't matter who you Michael
right,
Jackson, like none of them
right.
got to that level without going all in, bro. Like none of them.
I can't see
I agree to
Michael
that.
Jackson,
Right,
LeBron,
but
Mike
like,
Tyson studying science after practice. Like, no, they was, you
right,
know what I'm saying? There
right,
was no backup. There was no
but
backup. They was locked in.
no, I agree though. You have to be lactate, but that's what I'm saying. Like it's hard. I don't know, man. It's hard to like measure that, right? Because there's no way to measure that for sure. But like I do agree. Like the more you go all in, like that increases the probability of you being successful. Because if you never went all in, you would never know like what you're capable of accomplishing, right? You're never even going to be in this position. But when it comes to sports, what I'm trying to say, there are other variables and things that are out of your control that helps you to get there.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like the right system, the right coach, the right teammate, the right play, luck, all these
absolutely.
things that happen. Because there are some, so like let's say now Jalen Hurts from the Eagles, right? He won the Super Bowl. He's
Hmm.
not in the GOAT debate yet. But why even 2 years from now, if he win two Super Bowls, people are gonna say, "Oh, he's the GOAT," right? So all many things that like the system, so many other factors that plays into like I'm just talking about like being the GOAT, right? So it's for me, it's like I do agree all in plays a role, but it's hard like to say, especially when you have all these great athletes, like people with good work ethics or going all in, doing all these things, and then never won a championship, never even got to that
Yeah.
level of gold status. So it's hard to say just like all in, like it's 50% of what you accomplished that. It plays a role, but it's just like to say that's the majority because you have all these people doing the same thing too. So I
But
don't,
I mean, like the thing about it is like we're talking about organized sports where it's a team effort, right?
correct.
There's no single player who won a championship by themselves, like
Right.
without any help whatsoever.
Correct.
There's no one who did that,
Right.
right? You know, but I think that the common theme that we're talking about though, everyone on the Philadelphia Eagles team went all in. I assure you, there's nobody on that team who did. They wouldn't be in on that team if they didn't go all in. Now, their versions of all in might, like I said, you can go all in and not necessarily be the GOAT. You can go all in and be
Uh,
second string. You can go all in and be like a really good
I mean, you
cornerback.
can
You
win
could go in.
a championship without going all in there because in college there was some project, there was some people who didn't do shit and they all got A's. So that doesn't guarantee that doesn't guarantee they went all in. So you can still win the championship and
Be
have people part of that
on
group
the
that
right
never went
team
all
if
in.
you're right.
You're on the right team. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
Right.
guaranteed, if that happened, you was on the team with somebody who went all in.
Right, I
Exactly.
agree.
That's it.
You know what
That's
I'm
I
it.
saying?
agree.
That's
Right,
it.
but you can still be part of the collective that went all in and then reap the result. Right, doesn't mean that you are.
Yeah,
For
of
only so
course.
long. You could be in the fifth grade.
Facts,
You can do a fifth
facts.
grade group project,
I
but you're
agree.
not gonna make it to the
Yeah,
championship by just kind
Facts.
of giving
No,
yeah.
20%. You know what I'm saying? Just you're
uh,
not gonna be on the team when you've been giving it 20% your whole
no,
life. You just
There's
made it to
nobody
the
who could do it by
championship.
themselves.
right,
I mean, a
Nah,
prime
nah.
example is Saquon Barkley.
right,
Saquon Barkley, we always knew he was a great running back, but when on the
right.
Giants, he didn't have no
Exactly.
line.
Right,
Now look at what happened when you put him behind the Philadelphia Eagles, and he could have broken the damn rushing record.
right,
You know, so like,
right.
um, Shout out to Kels. Kels just said you can go all in and not be the best. But you
I,
can't be the best without going
I
all in.
fact,
That's exactly what I'm
right,
trying to say.
right. I agree.
That's exactly my point.
Right.
That's exactly. Go ahead, Kels. Go
No,
ahead.
I agree. That's fact. But that's even to prove the point, right? Yeah, you like Kel said, you can go all in and not be the best, but you can be the best without going all in.
Yeah,
You
Correct.
drop the
But
that's
bars.
what
You
we're
drop the
saying.
bars.
right, but I
That's
do
what we're saying.
agree. Right, I'm on that same page. But I think I'm saying you can say the only reason why is because you can say it's 50%. I don't just like you can say it's the 50% because now you have all these other. If you can't replicate something though, you can say like because it's not that cannot be replicated, right? You can go and do that again. So that's not evidence to show this is 50% what lead to that. That's the point I'm trying to make. Because if you're trying to replicate that, if you have 3,000 athletes, you can say this is the reason why. If you go all in, it increases probably. That's what I'm trying to say. But I do agree with everything you guys are saying. But that's just the distinction on that part.
I'll tell you, I'm not ever really knowing the exact percentage,
Right.
but I
It
do
increases.
think it's the biggest piece. It's whatever the biggest piece is. It's that whatever the big piece of chicken, the big slice of
Right.
cake. That's what that's what going all in
That's
is. You
that's
know
that's
what I'm
No,
that's what
saying?
it is.
I agree. It's
That's what
increased.
it is.
It's increasing. It's definitely increased the chances. That's why I'm saying. But that's why I'm like, with the like, you can still like have a plan B and still like get to that level, right? You might not be great goat level, but you can pretty much be damn close to that level, right? If you go all in, because I feel like, I feel like plan B might be a little different, right? Because like other people, plan B is like shit. If this shit doesn't work out, I'm not trying, right? But I feel like plan B sometimes doesn't materialize because plan A worked. For example, if I had like my goal is to be an investor, right? If I had like 200K and then I bought some option and that 200K turned into like growing Katie like 60 mil, my plan A worked.
Hmm.
I don't ever have to think about plan B again. But it doesn't mean that I never had a plan B just because plan A worked. And I feel like sometimes in life we see plan A work and we just attribute that, oh, that individual never had a plan B because plan A worked for them. But sometimes there's
But those
always,
are one-offs too, though.
but
Like
I
one hit wonder.
agree.
Does
I
that mean
agree.
you made it? Does
Right.
that mean you made it, or does that mean you just like things
I mean,
aligned? If it's sustained, I
right,
don't
but
think we don't consider any one hit wonder a goat.
right, no, I'm not talking
Uh,
about the goat down. I'm just talking about like success, right? I feel like the goat.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
but
saying. Being a goat, man.
success, we agree.
Right,
Success, we agree. You don't have to go all in to be successful.
right,
And I like what Champ was saying earlier. Is like I think what we really need to shift is like our concept of success for ourselves.
mhm.
correct,
We got to define that for ourselves, what that looks like. You know what I'm
right,
saying? Like somebody who came from nothing and is getting 70K and provide for their family. That's successful. You know what
yeah,
I mean? We act like you
right,
got to have $100 million to be successful. Like there's a lot of levels of success, and we got to
right,
define that for ourselves.
right.
But if we are talking about these, no one else did it.
Right.
All them people went
No, I
all
agree.
in. You know
I
what I
do
mean?
agree. Right, I agree. I do
Yeah,
agree.
yeah,
It's hard, man. One of those things. It's hard, but I do agree though. In order for you to like even have the chance, even like when it comes to certain success, bro, I do believe you have to go. Somebody go all in to be successful at certain things, right? You have to like semi, yeah. You might have a plan B, but you still have to go in on. You got to go all in on your plan A to a certain level. You got to commit in order
Yeah,
for that to be successful. Like relationship, business, all those things, right? You have to commit to a certain level because at the end of the day, most things require energy, time, effort to like learn and figure shit out, right? Even though yeah, you might have all the things, but you still have to like commit to those things. It's like your diet, right? In order for you to like
yeah.
achieve your fitness goal, you have to like go all into, with a caveat, all in, right? What that means to you. So it's kind of like this, the same when it comes to like being successful in different fields too, man.
Hmm.
Yeah,
yeah.
but like,
Agree. And just to hit on that piece, man, we talked about this off. Like I think me and Z, I let him speak for himself, but we agreed that I'll speak for myself. I never went all in on
Mhm.
music.
right,
I put a big piece into it. It was probably the bigger piece, and I always treated the the plan Bs like they was a plan B, like
right,
I was just there. You know
right,
what I'm saying? But
right,
I never went 100. I went hard. I put a lot of focus in, a lot of
right.
hours, a lot more hours than most people probably.
Facts.
You know what I mean? But I never went 100%.
Right,
You know what I mean? That doesn't mean that whoever would want to, judge us looking on from themselves can judge however they look.
Fuck
But
them.
I consider all of us successful men,
Facts.
Yeah.
and just in the way we carry ourselves, the way to, we've been solid through certain things, some things that have nothing to do with money or status,
Right.
right?
I agree.
Sometimes the way we look out for our people, what I
Yeah.
mean? There's a lot of like these levels of success that you can reach without having to be certain things. But
Right.
what I'm proud of is, from my own perspective, is every idea that I really had and like really was like passionate about, I tried. You
Oh,
know what
for
I mean?
sure.
Hmm.
I seen that through to a point where it became something. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody else was looking at me in college like, oh, you were supposed to be J. Cole or something like, right? Like that's their version of what they saw me as. But for me, I'm like, there's things in my mind that I created in real life and put out into the world, and I'm proud
Bars,
of that. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
bro.
that's successful to me. You know what I'm
Uh,
saying? So I think that I just
bars.
wanted to take a moment just to say that, not only for me but for anybody, man, is
Right.
like create your own version of that success.
Yep.
I
I
think that
agree.
part is important, man. That part is important, man.
Hmm.
That's bars, bro. I love that, Ramon. That's true, man. Because like other people's definition of success for you is a little different, right? Because other
Yeah.
people are, oh, you should have done that. You should have done that.
Yeah.
You should have done that. And but most of the time, people who are saying those things, they're not even doing anything.
Come on, man.
They're not even doing anything. They're like, you should have. But what about you, though? At least I can say I've done way more than you ever
Yeah.
thought about doing. But you out here say I should have done this when you never even tried. At least
Yep.
I'm still pursuing the things that I want to do, and I'm still making moves. Yeah, I might not be at that level yet, but I could get there. You, on the other hand, you're still like thinking about your idea. You haven't even started yet,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and then you're like over here to like condemn me or to like make me feel a certain way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like it's funny, like people who aren't doing nothing always got something to say about people who are doing
All right.
something. It's crazy. It's so funny how that works out, but I definitely do agree that you have to define and honestly continue to redefine what
Mm-hmm.
success looks like for you because you can define it and then it might change in 7 months. It might change
Absolutely.
2 years from now and whatnot. You have to continue to allow yourself to evolve and what your level of success and what that looks like to evolve as well. I think
Mm-hmm.
as you grow, success has to grow as well, right? And
That's
different
true.
versions of that. You become different versions of yourself throughout life. That's the whole point of it being a journey. There's different chapters and whatnot.
Right.
Um, but it's funny because I remember having a conversation with somebody. We went out to a party to go see a famous producer slash DJ. I'm not gonna say his name because I don't need to put anybody out there like that. But he was a cool DJ. Like he was good. He got hits and stuff like that. But he was a cool DJ. And I remember she was just like, "Oh yeah, that was fire." And I was like, "Yeah, he was cool." And she was like, "What do you mean cool?" Like I was like, "Yeah, he was cool." And she was like, "So are you saying you're better?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think I'm a better DJ." And she's like, "Well, why aren't you famous then?" I'm just like, "Well, I mean, like,
Right.
there's plenty of like really talented people who aren't
Right.
famous. Just because I'm
Right.
not famous doesn't mean that I'm not better." Like I'm like,
Correct. Facts.
it's so funny. Like it's just like people always equate that to success, right? Like
Right.
you have to be famous to be successful, right? Like but there's just so many different levels of that. And by all means, the comment didn't impact me. I was just like, I don't really care what you say.
Right.
Like that doesn't hurt bruise my ego at the end of the day. I think also when you're in pursuit of greatness and what that looks like, you have to have thick skin too. That's also
Right.
another thing. You gotta dodge all that bullshit. But um to Ramon's point, man, I think you just have to continue to define and redefine what success looks like for you, and don't let anybody infringe upon what your happiness looks like in your life, right?
Right.
Like that's the only way that you're going to make it, right? The only way that you're going to get to the finish line, is ultimately if you, like I said, have that deliriousness to where you believe in yourself so
Mm-hmm.
much, but also like you have to continue to show up and put in the effort because if you let somebody kill your vibe or like throw you off your game, you're gonna perform poorly, and that's like it could end up spiraling. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, what spiraling looks like and whatnot,
Right.
and so there's gonna be moments of that in life and whatnot, and it's just that's what life is. It's not this linear path, right?
Right.
There's all these ups and downs along the way, right? But the whole point of it all is what we talk about is having higher highs and higher lows. I
Right.
think as you continue to climb that mountain, so
Right.
Yes.
I think like you made a good point, Z, which I love. Success has to grow, and I really resonate with that. I feel like success has to grow, and success could be different, right? Because like, as we get older, we realize that success is not all about money, right? Because some of the we have most of some would you rather, and some of the situation was like, would you rather be the richest person in the world and not have your people? And most often we pick like, nah, man, like I'd rather have my people, the relationship. So we realize that even though we are in pursuit of like money and all these things, right? But that is not the most important things in our life, right? We value relationship, we value families, we value all these other things that money cannot buy, right? So yeah, like there are so many ways to define success. If you have a good relationship, good friends and families in your life, those are the things, man, that money cannot buy. You can have all the money. Like Kanye lately been going crazy, and he rich as hell. And to me, it's like a cry for help, right? He has all the money, the fame, and he might even be considered the GOAT when it comes to music. But still, there are things that he lacks because he tweeted about not seeing his family and all those things that we take for granted, man. So it just makes us realize that even though we are in pursuit of those monetary things, man, but at the end of the day, we are blessed, right, with the
Yeah,
people that we have in our life right now, man. So we are successful. So even though
absolutely.
like we can't trade that for anything else, man. Just saying that people who have the fame, the money, all the things that we are trying to aspire and get, and there's still like there's something lacking, right?
Mhm.
That just shows that there's more to life than just like money and fame, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
So just want to just add that to that too, man.
Y'all boys is preaching today, man.
No, bro, for
Yeah,
real,
man.
man. Cause
Yeah, I'm
keep
sitting here
thinking.
like I'm watching somebody else's live.
Like,
You
damn,
know what I'm saying? Yeah, that was
that
bars,
boy's
bro.
spitting right
No,
now,
bro,
man.
because we look at celebrities, man. We put them on the pedestal. We want to emulate them. We want to live them. We want to trade their life for our life. But then you realize, you're like, I'm good, man. I have a solid circle. I
Yeah,
have people like earlier today, Kels and Maj G stopped by at my crib. Like we hang out, like great friends, family, and my girl. All those things, bro. Like you realize, man, we're blessed. And the good thing is, we know that we're putting in the work. Like you said, it's not guaranteed, but we're gonna get further than what we are right now.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
We're gonna
yeah,
get better.
that's
So knowing that, like,
guaranteed. That is
yeah,
guaranteed.
yeah. Absolutely. That is guaranteed. That's a goddamn
I
guarantee.
bet everything I got on that. I bet everything. I'm going all in on
I'm
that.
going all
Like, you
in,
know,
baby.
or I should say, it's gonna increase our probability of being
that's a
successful.
fact.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's why I say that's go.
That's
The
a fact.
right term. It's gonna increase the probability of being successful.
Like 50
We can guarantee that.
percent. Like 50%.
I
Like
don't know the
50%.
number. It's 49.8, But it's just like everything we're doing, man, we're gonna get there, bro. So like, like I feel like backup plans sometimes frowned upon, right? By the end of the day, like yeah, sometimes you can take the Tyler Perry route and quit your job and live in the car for 3 weeks and go all in on that. You can do that too, right? To be great, to be successful. But you don't always have to do that to get to that level too, because like success, when it comes to success, bro, there's so many ways you can get there. There's
yeah,
so many things you can do to get there, right? There's not like a blueprint or one size fits all. There's so many ways, so many things that you can do. But one thing that we already talked about, that you got to go all in to get to that next level for sure.
yeah,
And what all in looks like for you, it could be different,
We
but you
different.
definitely have to commit,
yeah.
to get to that next level for sure.
And I think the thing that we didn't fully touch on, because we touched on this before, is like doing one thing versus multiple things.
Right.
I think to technically be the GOAT, you have to go in on one
I
thing.
agree.
But if you want to like live more of like a balance and like different pieces of your life and still having, you might have to go all in and kind of like like pushed out on certain areas of your life. Like my man Claude the God said, man, you got to balance all life aspects, health, family, financial relationships, all that.
No,
You know
that's
what I
true.
mean? So all in for somebody is like, yo, I give it all I got when
Right.
I'm out here. You know what I'm saying? If I'm
Right.
focused on this, this is what I'm doing. When I'm doing that, when I get home, man, my family there, I'm giving it all there. You know what I'm saying? It's like going all in looks different to people. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
No, I do
Mhm.
agree with you though, because you said that's a good point. To be the GOAT, you got to go all in on one thing. That's fact. Because I
yeah,
can't think about a GOAT who's the GOAT in both things, right? Like I can't think of that for sure. So
Mhm.
I do agree with that. You have to go
yeah.
all in on one.
Yeah.
Ball to the
Shout
Hugo.
out to Val. Um, Val, for tapping in, man. Higher highs and higher lows. And yeah, definitely join us in the next conversation. Would love that. But yeah, man, I think that all being said, because I think we've talked about the situations for backup plans or plan Bs and then against them, right? Where
Right,
do you guys feel like you guys stand on the spectrum?
Like
man.
if
I'll
it's
start
better or
first, man.
worse, like for or against it.
Oh, for me currently, man, I would say I'm for it, right? Because I didn't like when I look at my plan Bs in the sense that it's like my plan A is like always there. That's what I'm working on every day. Plan B is just like a safety measure, right? Like, okay, I'm doing everything right. It's not like I'm not really working on my plan B right now, right? But I have these skill sets. God forbid if the worst should happen, I can always fall back on to to like figure shit out and get back on my plan A. So for me, it's more of a like preparation, like what I'm navigating in pursuit of the things that I want to accomplish.
Hmm.
That's how I look at it. And I feel like it's important for a lot of people, right? You don't always have to like go the extreme route. You don't have to like quit your job and be homeless to pursue that next goal. There are other ways that you can do that, and one might argue that by having like a safety net sometimes helps to alleviate stress. You're not burdened out where you can think clearly and work on that too. And another argument could be like, oh, having that too is it puts you in a comfort position of comfort. You might not go all in. Both arguments could be true based on the individual. There's not like one size fits all. So based on who you are, you know yourself, right? Figure out what's good for you, like, and then why you pursuing your goals. If that means like you need a little bit of comfort,
Hmm.
discipline, whatever, to get to that next level, do that because you know yourself. If you realize, you know what, I can't do this if I'm not going all in. I got to make that sacrifice to get to that next level. Then commit and do that. Like I
Yeah.
feel like it has to be like an individual decision to figure out what's good for them.
Hmm.
Because other people thrive under pressure and need that level of like focus, and other people need a little bit of comfort in order to be successful, right? So
Yep.
figure out what's good for you. For me, for sure, I know that for me, comfort helps me to like not stress about other things while I can focus on the main purpose and goals.
Hmm.
Comfort could be like skill set that I could fall back on, things that I know I could do. It's like having like an emergency fund, right? Knowing that hey, if the stock market crashed today, I'll be fine for a year. I can pay my bills, right? And other people like I'm going all in yellow on this stock. If whatever happened, I'll figure it out. Two different strategy, but like for me, I like the latter that I can be able to like pay my bills and while I'm still pursuing it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, bro, I agree, man. You kind of hit it on the money as far as like the part of like it's not one size fits all. Cause it would be hard if somebody asked me for advice. It would be hard to answer that. I would have to really look at the person that was asking me, right? Like if somebody came up to me and he was a kid and he played football, he said, and he was like, number one in the state
right.
or something like that. And he was like, my goal is to be the greatest football player of all time,
Mm,
right? He already showing like little signs of it, right? My goal is to be the greatest of all time.
Hmm.
Should I get a backup plan? They keep trying to push me to go to, band camp to
right,
like learn this and just so I could have a backup and stuff like that. Should I do that or
right.
should I do three like all year
Mm,
round football?
love it.
Hey man, if your goal is to be the GOAT,
No, I
go
agree.
all in.
Facts.
Go all in. You
That's
know what
it.
I'm saying? If
That's a
that's
great
your goal,
advice.
you know what I mean? That's your goal. But I do think that like we talked about, you can go all in and it not work out a lot for a
True.
lot of people.
Facts.
You know what I mean? So I think, to be honest, the bulk majority of people that probably are moderately successful to very successful to, you know what I mean, is probably ones that had backup plans, ones that had
Right.
safety nets, ones that was looking out for themselves for if this didn't work. So when it didn't, they did have something to fall back on,
Hmm.
bounce back into position, and able to pivot, and like we talked about last week. So for the bulk amount of people, I would say it's not bad to have a backup plan.
Yeah.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Agree.
But if you wanted to be the greatest of all time at something,
Right.
you know what I mean? Ask yourself why you want to do that first.
No,
Because
I
if
agree.
you answered the question like this is in me, something's in me to be the best
Right.
ever, then
Right.
don't have no backup plan. You
Yeah.
know what
Good.
I'm
No,
saying?
Yeah.
that's a good advice, bro. I like
Yeah.
how you said that. That's smart.
Yeah.
That's dope.
I-
Yeah, I love how you did
I'm gonna
say
piggyback
that.
off of what you said, Ramon. I think from a broad perspective, I would tell people to have backup
Right.
plans, right? But just because like we know what that lifestyle, the all-in mindset is not going to work for a majority of people,
Right.
you know, right? Like it's probably not going to work for like 90+% of
Right.
people, right? You know,
Right.
like we just realistically, right? You
Mm-hmm.
could, because to the point we said, like you could go all in and still
Right.
fail. Like
Right.
it's just the odds, right? That being said, from a broad perspective, I would say plan for backup plans because it just leads to a healthier lifestyle. You know, I
Right.
think it's having a backup plan will allow you to what DG's point was earlier, and just like being able to like live in a little bit more comfort and whatnot. I'm not telling everyone to just go out and be a Tyler Perry to where you just put it all on the line and now you're homeless, right? Because that's not everybody is built for that
Right.
lifestyle, right? You know, like there are certain people who are. There are people who are willing to just pull it all out there on the line. And for those people, I would compel them. I'm like, hey, go all in.
Mm-hmm.
To Ramon's point, like if you are in pursuit of greatness, if you're in pursuit of just stepping into the fullest potential of yourself, then absolutely go all in. And
Right.
I commend you for it. Just know that it's not going to be the easy road, and it's honestly probably going to be the hardest road that you ever choose. And what do you get from that? You either get the most beautiful, like the most beautiful story that you can tell your grandkids and everyone moving forward, that you ultimately changed your life and your next generations of families' lives for whatever reason, you know, because you went all in. That's
Right.
amazing, right?
Right.
The likeliness of that happening though is very unlikely though.
Right.
So, you know, you just have to be willing to like play with those
Right.
odds, right? You know, you got to play the game and you got to be comfortable with that. But to that point, I just know most people aren't comfortable with that. So that's why I would say, from a broad perspective, I am for backup
Right.
plans. In my own life, I'm even for backup plans because,
Right.
to Ramon's point of what we talked about earlier, I've never gone all
Right.
in on something. Even
Right.
music, I love
Right.
music with every ounce of my body, right? You
Right.
know, but I've never gone all in, like to like 100% to where it's just like I gave this my all. I was, you know, living on the street, like I, you know, sleeping on the couch, surfing, couldn't keep the lights on and shit. Like I don't have that kind of story, you know, right?
Making 30 beats a day, going to every
You see what
club.
I'm
Hey
saying? I
man,
was
just give me a shot. Give me a shot, man. Give me a shot.
made 400 beats in 12 days type shit. You know, like I ain't never done that, you know, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not successful, right? You know, to
Right.
Ramon's point, I think we're all successful. I think I am an extremely successful person. I've done a lot and seen a lot that a lot of people, the average people probably never will see in their lives, you
Most
know,
people
right?
won't, bro.
Um,
Facts.
and I appreciate that, you know, right? But that's why I can say we're living testaments of like you don't have to go all in to be successful. We're
Right.
literally the living and breathing examples of that. A lot of these people who are probably watching this are probably living and breathing examples of like because to that point you have to define what success looks like to you,
Right.
and ultimately that's what matters at most at the end of the day. But yes, I say all that to say I'm for backup
Right.
plans. That being said,
But to add on to that, I was like, we go all in, but not at that extreme level because that's like we
no,
focus. Not we go things that we want, we pursue them wholeheartedly, right? But we're not going to that extreme that I'm going to quit my job and be homeless, kind of like all in,
yeah,
mindset, because that's like on our craft. We work on those crafts like every day, like every day. We think about it every day. To me, like that's going all in on your goal, right? But it might not be at that level of like I'm gonna quit my job. I'm just gonna stay in the street and be by the studio all day and sitting there and just hanging out CDs. That's like different extreme of such. Just sitting outside.
That boy went all in, man. Hey, boy, I was
So yeah, I just
out
want to
there.
say,
I was
we,
out there. I wasn't out there all day and night, but I was out there
right,
giving out CDs.
right. We
I wonder. I just wonder where I'd be if I would have done that every day for 365. You
right,
know
but
what
we
I'm
we
saying?
we we go all in, man, because all the things we're pursuing, man. Like we're like working on those things like every day. You making beats every day. You thinking about music every day. Like to me, like the mentally that's going all in. I don't have to like be homeless to go all in. You know what I'm saying? Like I can still go in all my passion and things,
yeah,
still make it work. Like man,
yeah,
at the end of the day, we're still gonna get there. We're gonna get to the top with everything we're doing. I believe it, man. I guarantee that
yeah.
it's gonna happen. You know. So
Y'all got any final thoughts?
now I think we're getting closer to that. Would you rather, man? Like I think just like everything we're talking about, like all the good you guys have made, all great points. Like even though nothing is guaranteed for sure, but you got to go all in at least in order if you want to become the
Yeah.
GOAT to certain things. It's not guaranteed, but you have to like just go all in because if you don't
Yeah.
do that, you'll never know what you're capable of
Yeah.
accomplishing without that commitment and sacrifice.
If
And
you want to
also,
know, if you want to know what the best version of yourself looks like, you have to go all in.
everything, man. Like even like Kels and I was talking, this, having a conversation like with diet. Like Kels been going all in with his diet and nutrition
Hmm.
lately, and he's gotten the best result physically.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like just by just committing and just doing things a little different, and he's seen the best result from a nutrition
Love
and
that.
physical standpoint. You know, so
All right.
shout out to
Shout out to
Kels.
Kels, man.
That's fire, man. Even gave himself some grace and got the crumble cookie too. I seen it.
That's it.
He gave himself. He got the crumble cookie. He got right back. He got right back to business too. Right after that, the next meal was salmon and asparagus. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
right back at it,
saying?
man.
That's it,
Right
Shout out
back
to
man.
my
at it.
guy, man. Been
Yeah.
getting busy, man.
Yeah. Shout out to
No,
I
Kels,
just want.
man.
I want to double down on just that last point of just like, bro, just be honest with yourself. A lot of times, it's like, you know what I'm saying. Like, ask yourself, like, if you're going out trying to go all in on something, like, ask yourself the real why. Is it because you feel like you have to? Is it pressure? Is it? Ask yourself the real why. Like, be honest with what you want, man. I think a lot of people. I read this somewhere too. A lot of people are kind of depressed because they set goals for themselves that they don't actually really want.
facts.
So now you're chasing something that you don't even really want, like
Yeah.
because other people make you feel like you should have that, or you know what I mean. Ain't nothing wrong for pushing for more at all. You should, but you know, be honest with yourself about what you really want. You know what I mean? So if you want to be the greatest, you won't have to put in the greatest work. But if you
Right.
really don't care about that for real, be honest with yourself, man. And there might be something that you else that you want more than that, man. So I think, you know, be honest with yourself, man, and you know, define success for for yourself. I think that's important, bro.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right. Well, that being said, man, this is the Spot Network, and you know, every Monday or Tuesday in this situation,
It's been
we
a lot
gonna
of
put y'all,
Tuesday
we
lately.
gonna we gonna we gonna put y'all on the spot, man. So that being said, when we put y'all on the spot, we gonna ask you, would you rather? It's probably more than likely gonna be polarizing because, of course, it has to be. We like drama. Bring all the motherfucking drama. So that being said, today's would you rather question is: would you rather sell out everything you believe in to follow a backup plan that makes you wildly rich? And just to put a definition of what wildly rich is, we're talking about an annual salary of $30 million. So you make
Ooh,
$30
boy.
million a year. You followed a backup plan and made you wildly rich, but you're not respected by anyone. No one. Like no one respects not your family, your friends, your
Oh
peers.
no.
No one respects you.
they, they were sounding so good. He lost me the
Said, hold
respect, bro.
up.
Or, or,
Okay.
or
Why
would
wouldn't they
you
respect
rather
you though?
would you rather stay loyal to your dream,
Oh my god.
live a below average lifestyle? To put a dollar figure on that, we're talking about $30,000 a year.
Come on, Z.
and
Come on,
and
bro.
die unknown, but at peace with yourself. So I'm gonna ask the whole question again for everybody.
Oh my
Would
god.
you rather sell sell out everything you believe in and follow a backup plan that makes you wildly rich, $30 million a year, but you're not respected by anybody? Or stay loyal to your dream, live a below average lifestyle, $30,000 a year, and die unknown, but at peace with yourself?
And when you
Bro,
unknown on that second one, we are respected by the few people that know us.
right, but
It's
what do you mean
respect, right?
respect though? Like, what do you mean not respected by your family and your kid? Like, what? Give me some example. Like,
Like,
all right.
You
no,
sold
just
out
nobody respects you.
on everything
You
you
sold
believe
out.
So
in.
Like,
when I
You sold
go,
out.
nobody, no,
when I go home, okay, I want to know. I want to know before I pick my answer, right? So if I go home, right, I go home with my wife and kids. So they just like, what?
your wife and kids call you a bitch every day to your face. 'Cause-
Man,
My
bro,
God,
what
man.
kind of would you rather
Crazy.
is this, bro? Like, what is this?
like once you walk in the door, it's hands on sight. You a bitch. Oh, the bitch. Look, the bitch is home.
Can
Man.
Can you like abandon your kids and get new kids in? Can you do that? Like because they don't respect me, can I like move
You
and go?
could, but now your new kids ain't gonna respect you
They
because
don't respect
now you
me.
abandoned your old kids. They like, oh no, he even
Nobody
more of a
respects
bitch.
you.
He a deadbeat and a bitch.
Man, she hey, hey 30K bro, yeah, 30K is homeless, bro.
All right, so
Like Cass just said.
I'm gonna ask this question one more time because it sounds like everybody's stuff. Would you rather sell out everything you believed in and follow a backup plan that makes you wildly rich but
Oh
not
my god.
respected by anyone, or stay loyal to your dream, live a below average lifestyle, and die unknown but at peace with yourself?
Oh man.
Man, that's bro. I want to say because I'm trying to figure out the situation, right? Because if I'm making 30K or 30 mil a year, right, I can just go to Miami for a day. Nobody knows me out there, and I feel like I can just for a day, I can just have a good time, and not because they ain't gonna know who I am. I can just have
Yeah,
a blast. So I would probably like rather pick that than like being making 30K the rest of my life, bro. Yeah, I
Nah,
don't
but
know.
people know you on that 30 million one. They know you. So
Damn.
they when you get there, it's just disrespect. You know,
Oh,
when
oh,
you get
so
there.
even when I go to a stranger, they just know they
Yeah.
just disrespect me from the
You
get
making
go.
30 million a year. You did some shit that was like
Oh
highly
man,
publicized, but it's
no,
just
that I mean,
disrespected.
why do I have to?
You can't hide out with 30 million. We ain't.
Yeah,
You know what I
mm.
mean? Like
yeah.
you in the
You out
forefront. You in
there?
the
You out
forefront.
there?
You out
They
there.
just
Your face is everywhere. You
people
know what I'm
just
saying?
disrespect you wherever you go. Damn, man,
Yeah,
Like,
nah.
disrespect.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, there's probably places you could go in the world where like no one
Oh,
knows you, right? You know, like there
okay,
probably is,
right.
but like
Then
you're definitely one of those faces where you're noticeable, where it's just like, wait, is that the bitch? Wait, hold up.
That's a bitch,
That's crazy.
bro. Once you walk in, that's the bitch. I'm done. Give me the 30K. Fuck it. Yeah, I'll take the 30K. I was gonna go with the 30 mil, but when you said that that's the bitch, bro, I'm done.
Why would you? Why
I'm
would you
not doing that no
heard
more.
that? That's crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna pick the 30 mil, bro. But when you said that that's the bitch, once I walk in, I just picture that. Like,
Damn,
that's the bitch, bro. Yeah, but 30
that's
mil
crazy.
forever, bro. Because at the end of the day, like, damn.
Hey, Kansas said, and you can't fight, so you just got to deal with it. You just got to
Bro,
deal with it, man. Hey, shout out to Moody,
yeah,
man. First class V, man. She said, give me the 30,000. They're gonna respect what I do with it, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to
I'm
pick
gonna
the
go ahead and
30K,
get my
bro.
answer. I'm
I'll
getting my
take the
answer out the
30K.
way too, man. I'm running 30K
Yeah,
all
I'm doing
day, brother.
30K now. When you
All
I'm
said
running
day.
that, Z,
30K,
you
man.
lost me, Z. I was thinking about it for a second, but when you said that's the bitch, I'm like,
That's crazy.
hold on, is that the
That's crazy.
hey, that's the bitch. That's the
Yeah. And people just agreeing like that is him. Yeah.
bro. That is so freaking hilarious. But I'm just picturing that you walk in like a spot, and then that's the first thing that people are saying to you, bro.
You just you just trying to check in the hotel and that's
Oh my god,
funny shit.
that shit was hilarious. That's the bitch.
Shout out to
Yeah,
Miss
get,
Shout out
hey,
to Miss T. She said
give me the
money is
20K.
not
I
everything.
would take 20K. Give me 20. Fuck that. I'm taking 29. It's all right. I'm moving somewhere in Africa.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. Nah, give me my
Yeah,
30K. Nah, but that's crazy though. At least if you say my family respected me, I don't care what people think, because my family, my wife and kids, they love me, they
yeah,
respect me. But like you said, even my kids, bro, I'm paying for them, and they're like disrespecting me every day.
Yeah.
Like I'm paying for tuition, his cars, like
You
in my own house, bro.
sold
The house I'm paying for, they're disrespecting me every single day, bro.
you
Every
sold out.
you see, yeah,
yeah, nah,
you
yeah,
You
just
sold out, brother.
yeah,
You don't stand by your word or whatever that looks like. They just don't respect it. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So
I'll take the 30. I'll take the 30K. Yeah, and
yeah.
that's yeah. And you can't make more, right? You can never make more than 30K,
We're
correct?
talking about forever. You either make 30 million a year or you make 30K a year. Forever.
Yeah, I would just convince my girl like, babe, let's go somewhere in Africa, and then we just live a good life over there with 30K a year.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I think that's what we
I
do.
mean, your wife can still work. She can be the breadwinner,
But
You know, she would
like,
still work,
And
but for the rest of
she
her
respect
life,
you.
bro.
And she respect you.
and she
Yeah, but
respects you.
right, but she wouldn't want to work forever though. Like, I would feel some
Yeah, of
type of way, man.
course.
I'll probably just go somewhere that,
Make
that we can like,
more sense.
yeah, make more sense. She would probably leave your ass too, because you're like, damn, Diamond, you should
I
making
don't know.
30K.
She respect you though. She respect you, man. You stand on
Yeah,
your own. Maybe like you said, like we talked about this before. Not everybody maybe knows how to invest. Maybe you
right,
learn that, and you not making more money, but you helping her. You know
right.
what I
That's
mean? So
true.
you know,
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's like, yeah. All your friends make 35K, but you been making 30K since you're 34. And then I
Yeah.
was 6 years. So,
hey, I chose my self respect, mama. I can't
Hey,
have him call
I
me a
ain't sell
bitch
out
out
though.
here.
I ain't sell
Hey, I
out
ain't no
though.
bitch.
but then you will be fly with 30 mil down. You trying to think about it. You'll be fly as fuck though, cause she 30
And
mil.
we're talking about 30 million a year.
Bro, you will be
Yeah,
A
bro.
fly,
year.
Some
bro.
things I think everybody today is on the same page too. It's kind of like,
Yeah,
man, some shit ain't worth selling
yeah,
out on,
yeah.
man. Some shit
It's not worth
money's
it.
not money's. There's certain things that just money can't buy back. You
Right,
Hmm.
know what I mean? It's kind of like, bro, just
right.
you know,
No, if you would have said my
integrity
friends
is
and
in
family
everything.
respect me, bro, I would have taken that 30 mil easy. I don't care. My friends and
Yeah,
family,
that's
people in my
easy.
circle, yeah,
That's
Hmm.
easy.
I don't. I can go out. People can disrespect me all day. I'm just going to buy a big ass house, mansion. Just enjoy. I don't need to go. I'll have everything at my house. But like the fact that you say everyone else wants to go
Nobody
out,
respects you. Nobody respects you.
is that the bitch? Is that the bitch?
Is is that the bitch?
Man,
Bro, that's gonna be my new saying, bro. That's the bitch. That's the
that's crazy.
bitch. Hey,
Yeah, that's how you know, man. Money ain't worth everything, man.
whenever I'm slacking on my goals, bro, you guys better refer to me as that.
Hey,
Please.
man. Next time you
Whenever
get
I
sick
start
and
to
try to
slack,
miss a
bro.
workout, brother.
Bro, whenever I start slacking, bro. DG, that's the bitch in you I'm seeing right there. Nah, money is not everything, bro. We realize that, man. Respect and those things are way more important than money for
Yep.
sure.
That's a
Yeah.
fact, man.
Well,
But nah,
slide that.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Z. No, like this was a good episode, man. Like, yeah, this
Yeah.
was pretty dope, man. Shout out to everybody who joined the live and contributed towards the discussion.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Shout out to everybody who tapped in, man. We appreciate y'all. Everybody who be tapped in, whether it be for one episode, whether it be for all of them, y'all doing big things. What's good?
I was gonna say real quick, everybody who's still on here, man, just real quick, we stay on here for like maybe 2 more minutes, just for y'all to do this. I want y'all to throw like a subject that y'all would want us to talk about one of these episodes, real quick.
Yep.
We'll
right.
stay on here just to look at a couple of them. But if you on here, I see 6 people, man. I need at least just drop. It could be one word, but just drop some on there that you want us to talk about, man. We want to start building this thing out and having our community kind of be a part of it, man. So
Yep.
um, just anything that y'all would want to talk about, or you know what I mean. Um, drop that in there. Y'all dropping in there too. Z and DG dropping in there
Mm.
too, man. You dumb as hell, bro. You dumb as hell, bro.
Bro, that shit is so funny, man. Like,
Um,
but I can picture it. The reason, because I was thinking about doing that, right? That was gonna be my choice. But when you said that, I actually picture myself being fly and going to someone dope, and then people just referring to me as that. And I don't want that. I can
Clean
do
as
that.
hell
Nope.
too. You clean as
Clean as
hell too
hell,
when you.
bro. And then people telling you that. See, it's out of nah. I don't want that from me or anyone that I love and care about. Nope.
I think a subject we need to talk about is aging.
Ooh, that's a
Mm,
good one. That's a
I feel like
okay.
enough people don't talk about it, man. I feel like, you know, as we get older, man, there's a lot of things that comes along with aging, for good and for bad, but I definitely think aging for sure.
Yeah,
How do you start
sure.
new relationships
too.
at this stage? Yeah, yeah. I honestly think that probably will be a segment that we probably tap into a lot more is like relationships and whatnot.
Right.
I feel
Right.
like that's a big piece of what we don't talk about enough,
Right.
obviously on here. So,
Right.
um, yeah, and I mean, to Kels's point, romantic relationships or friendships, I mean, there's a lot of different versions of relationships in our lives.
Right.
So I think how we used to talk about that all the time. Like back when I was in Texas,
Right.
you know, during the pandemic when I was in Texas and Ramon was in Arizona, we were talking about that for like a little while. Um, was how do you make new friends, right? Like it's kind of like where you don't know anybody, right? Like if you move to a new city, you don't know anybody. Like, it's really
Right.
interesting. Like you really got to put yourself out there in order to meet new people, So I think that is a really good question. Would you rather have a mate who is a boss or and bossy, or quiet and submissive?
I
Oh
mean, a
yeah,
mid,
yeah,
as
yeah,
in like a mid, as in
Yeah,
like
yeah,
your
yeah,
partner, or
yeah, yeah. We
go.
definitely go as that one.
right,
That brings flashbacks to Africa. We
right,
gonna we gonna
okay.
we gonna run that boy back.
And also,
But
Kills would love to do an episode, man, but it got to be on a Tuesday. Or he said Memorial. Is it Labor Day? Is that coming up? Which one's coming up? Labor Day or Memorial Day? Yeah.
Memorial Day
So
is coming up.
yeah,
Labor Day is in
so yeah,
September.
we're gonna coordinate with Kels and we're gonna have him on the episode, man. So
Yeah,
pretty, yeah. Shout out to
yeah,
Kels.
yeah. We definitely want to have some people tap in, man. But we appreciate y'all tuning in, man, and sharing insights. Like Ramon said, we want to obviously grow, but obviously help cultivate our community and give y'all a voice and opportunity to share your insights as well. So whether that
Right,
be contributing topics, whether you want to hop on an episode with
right,
us, man, we welcome it all. So,
right. Yeah,
we appreciate everybody for tuning in, man. Don't forget to follow us. I'm gonna say it at the Spot Network Official. I'm gonna say it again.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And sign. Y'all all know what that is. The Spot Network Official. That's where you can find us on all social media platforms, but specifically YouTube. That's where we share all of our content, episodes, DJ mixes, all that stuff. We'll be having some stuff launching later this year, like merch and whatnot. So be sure to tap in with us. But we appreciate y'all for rocking up with us, man. We'll be back next Monday,
For
hopefully,
sure.
back to regular scheduled programming.
Right.
But other than that, man, we out, man. Y'all have a y'all have a blessed week. Keep manifesting. I'll holler at y'all later.
All right, fam. Take care, bro.
All right,
All
peace.
right.